only Geek Culture Showcast. This is the Geek Speak Show. The Geek Speak Show talks about and to the movers and shakers in geek culture.
God bless the geek.
The Geek Speak Show is powered by GeekTyrant.com, Collider.com, RamaScreen.com, and MightyVale.com. Get ready to speak geek on the Geek Speak Show with your host, Henry. Hi, that's me. Welcome to the Geek Speak Show. Yes, a live show. Well, live on Memorex. Not even Memorex, because... yeah, show my age. So welcome to the Geek Speak Show. Yeah, brand new show, big old show, because something is happening this week that you may have heard about. You may even be there yourself right now as you're listening to this. San Diego Comic-Con. Anybody who's anybody in geek culture is there as we speak. If you are, cool. I'm not. But Arielle, Louise are there. We're going to hear from them in just a little bit. We're going to hear from everybody, including, of course, it's not Comic-Con if you don't hear from David Glanzer, the Director of Public Relations and Marketing for them. So he will call in just a few minutes. We're also going to hear from Morgan Spurlock because he did a documentary on Comic-Con. And it's been out since Tuesday of this week. And if you didn't get to see it in theaters because it did come out in limited release, or you didn't digital download or whatever you call that thing, it's out in stores and it'll be at Comic-Con and special edition packaging. One of them has in-action figure mode. One has, I think, Joss Whedon and Morgan Spurlock. The other one has the man. Do I really need to tell you who that is? Stan Lee and Harry Knowles in action figure. So what more could you want? I always wanted a Stan Lee action figure and a Joss Whedon one. So that's going on. We're going to hear from Morgan in just a little bit. But before we do all of that, a couple of things. One, yes, I saw The Amazing Spider-Man twice. Yes, the review is up there. Rachel's up there also. Arielle hasn't put one up there. I think she was too excited about going to Comic-Con. She hasn't seen it yet, believe it or not. So as soon as she does, you'll get her reaction. But mine, I mean, you kind of knew from 2 years ago when I first heard about this project. It's up there. Didn't really change much. I didn't do a spoiler-filled one. I said I was going to, but I haven't. I don't think I will. I think you guys kind of get the idea that it didn't do nothing for me. If you really want to know what I thought, spoiler-filled thoughts, send me an email, henry@thegeekspeakshow.com. I'll reply to you and let you know exactly what's going on. I'm out of sight, out of mind. Now I'm ready for The Rise. Yeah, Dark Knight Rises. That one will be Avengers type of good movie. The other thing, let me introduce you to somebody new. Rachel, she's still on the show, but she's not in the state anymore. She's either there or on the way there. She's moving to New York. She'll be here over Skype, which means, of course, she's going to cover New York Comic Con for us. So you'll see and hear her from that, and you'll hear her on the show at least pretty soon. Arielle is in San Diego right now at Comic Con, so that leaves me by myself. Yeah, like I like being by myself. No. I have somebody new here. Let me introduce you to her. Her name is Amanda Melkoumian. Say hello.
Hello.
There she is. And she's a real geek girl, first of all, more of a gamer girl, because you're gonna hear her doing a new feature for us. Finally, we're gonna talk video games. This whole time we've never talked video games. I do play them, not as much as, I mean, you live, breathe, eat.
I do. I'm going to school right now to study video game development. I play video games in all of my spare time. My side projects usually have to do with building video games and video game development.
And she'll write them soon then, hopefully. So we're going to debut a feature called Bits and Pixels. Mm-hmm. Get it? And it'll be all about, it'll be, well, you'll give news. You'll give maybe reviews of new games, because there's some pretty big new games coming pretty soon. Mm-hmm. And you may even have some interviews, because she knows high people in low places in the video game industry.
That's right. I know people.
Yes. And she has an iPhone, takes pictures. That's how you get them on. No, seriously. But she does know people, and you guys will hear from them, developers, designers, writers, and up-and-coming designers and fellow students also. So be on the lookout for that pretty soon. Mm-hmm. I'm going to wait on you for whenever you want to debut that.
Hopefully. Maybe the next show. We'll see.
Yeah, you will see. So welcome aboard, first of all. This is the, what a show to come on, the big, huge Comic-Con show. You ever been to Comic-Con?
No, but it's on my bucket list.
Yeah, just like I have Christopher Nolan on my bucket list, and J.J. Abrams, all the people that I want, and one of them may be scratched off the list next week. That's all I'll say. There is a big movie coming out, so that's all I'm going to say. So Comic-Con, I think 28th or whatever year this is at. It's been around for quite a while. Those of you who are there are there. Half the team is there. Arielle, Louise, they're there on the floor, not literally, but they're there on the exhibit floor. You'll hear from them in just a little bit. They'll maybe tease the exclusives that are there, maybe, because they're setting up their booth and they get to see the exclusives before you guys do. Talk about a preview night. And we'll also hear, of course, like I said, from David Glanzer. Right now, however, I mentioned Comic-Con Episode 4 of Fans Hope just came out on DVD. And Morgan was on back in March, April, whenever it was released. He talked about it. This time around, you and I got to sit in a press conference for the release of the DVD, which is out in theaters, in stores now. And like I mentioned, one of them comes with Stan Lee and Harry Knowles. The other one comes with a Joss Whedon and a Morgan Spurlock figure. They'll be available at Comic-Con. And it was also just announced they're going to screen the Comic-Con documentary at Comic-Con. It's up on comiccon.org, or go to our link section. It's on there. You can see and all the madness out there. Make your way to whatever room it's in, wherever they're going to show it, and you can see it there. So here is Morgan Spurlock, and actually you got to kick it off. So how lucky is that? We get to ask the first question, and then I jump in, and it's just a fun interview. So here it is. We'll start off with that. Then we'll begin our countdown to Comic-Con 2012.
Hi, Morgan. Amanda from the Geek Speak Show. What made you decide to stay behind the camera for this documentary?
It was one of those things from the minute we got the idea to make the film. I really wanted it to be about people who kind of live and breathe Comic-Con, every single year. I wanted it to be completely about them, about their experiences, about their passion. And, I think that was, from I'm a huge fan. Like, I'm a super geek. These are all the things that, shape me into who I am today. But I think there were people that would much better illustrate the story than me going to Comic-Con, by showing the people who are literally going there for real specific purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jordan from Press Pass LA. You call yourself a geek, and you have a whole sort of iconic people that you interviewed. Was there anybody that you specifically geeked out for?
Oh my gosh, there's so many, Guillermo del Toro, I was such a huge fan of before we made this film, and making this film, we spent an afternoon kind of trailing him through Comic-Con as well as doing his interview, and he is just such a generous, beautiful guy. He is so great with his fans. He's just so endearing. He's just so. I think he's just such a fantastic, human being. And I think, for me, I so geeked out when I met him, and I had so much more respect for him when we were done shooting, because I think he's representative of what to me Comic-Con is really all about. He was a fan himself who now ultimately has gotten, to do what, we all dream of as kids. He's gotten to make those fantasies and those dreams that were in his head become a reality, and that's an incredible thing to get to do.
Hi, this is Jenna Mongi with RogerEbert.com,
yeah.
And I was wondering if you had read the New Yorker review, which I don't think was kind.
Yeah, I think that. I think it sounded like it was spoken from someone who's probably never been to Comic-Con. And also, I think there's a tremendous amount of people who, no matter, even if they watch the film, still come in with this real kind of disgruntled view of that these are people who live in their parents' basement. These are people who, they don't have any friends. I mean, I felt like it was, even after watching the film, I felt like he still came in with incredible prejudice about what Comic-Con is about. And I think that I so disagreed with the review of the film and his kind of viewpoints on the film, and I think that the movie shows you that there are incredibly passionate people who do have their shit together. These aren't people who are like these people aren't losers who are like whittling away their time in mom and dad's basement anymore. These are people who are really creative, inspired, and driven people. Are some of those people there? Of course they are, but I don't think that represents the vast numbers of fans that go to Comic-Con.
Hey, Morgan, Henry from the Geek Speak Show. How did you decide on these protagonists, not the celebrities, but the ones we follow? How did you find them? How did you decide these are the ones we're going to?
We probably got about 2,000 submissions worldwide from people who wanted to be in the film, and we just kind of narrowed it down. I knew we wanted to follow somebody who was a comic book store owner. And it was through Harry Knowles, who's known Chuck Rosansky for a long time. Harry suggested we meet, Chuck. Harry's father, who was had a comic book shop, so they basically went to a lot of the same cons as a kid. So Harry had known Chuck for a long time. And the minute I met Chuck, I was like, Chuck is perfect. He is the quintessential comic book dealer who's passionate about it, loved it since he was a kid. Was kind of the first comic book millionaire. I mean, it was amazing. And then, I knew we wanted to follow young comic book artists or people who were trying to break into the business, because that was something that I learned when we were just starting to put the film together, was this whole idea of kind of Comic-Con as geek job fair. Like, I had no idea that side of Comic-Con really exists. And, the fact that they have portfolio reviews, that people are going there kind of, putting their creative, hearts on the line and showing them to the likes of, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, and letting these people, critique them, was really, eye-opening to me. I thought it was and it's one of my favorite parts of the film, and kind of seeing both Eric and Skip going there, trying to break into the business. Holly Conrad, sent us an email and then a video, and the minute I saw her video and what she was creating in the garage, I was blown away. I mean, this girl is so talented, and here she was again going to Comic-Con with the hopes of using this as a stepping stone to breaking into the costume business in Hollywood. So I thought it was, for me, it was trying to find really unique characters, people who weren't just going to hang out, but people who were kind of going there with a real specific purpose and a goal, and I think that's what makes the film really, really work. And even like James Darling and Sei Young, I wanted to find a couple, like people who fell in love because of their geekiness, like people who kind of met and fell in love because of their shared nerddom for whatever it may be. And when we got James and Sei Young's video, I was like, oh my God, they're adorable, they're great. And then at the end of the video, James comes up to the camera and turns it back on. Sei Young's in the other room, and he's like, but why I really want to come to Comic-Con is because I want to propose to Sei Young. And the minute he did that on the video, I was like, done, they're in. These guys are so in the movie right now. And their story is beautiful. Like, I've seen this film, God, 50, 60 times now from start to finish, and every time I watch it, like that, I well up at that moment. Like, it speaks to all my inner geek love comes out when he proposes to her. And I think anyone who is fall in love with somebody because of shared kind of fringe interests will appreciate what that moment's all about.
And I think the movie also touches on all the different aspects that make Comic-Con interesting for so many different people.
Yeah.
When you first conceived of the idea, did you know that the way to keep it grounded and keep it focused was to find those people, to find stories to follow?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was our goal from the beginning, was to kind of root it in people, who had real stakes. I think that's the other thing that you really realize, that each one of these characters, even somebody like Anthony Calderon still has stakes. His stakes are, if I don't get that 18-inch Galactus, then I am not going to be fulfilled. And so you see Anthony Calderon sprinting through Comic-Con to get this gigantic action figure. There's stakes. There are stakes for him. Some are higher than others. The stakes of Chuck Rosansky. Will he be able to keep his comic book store or not? Will he have to sell his most coveted possessions, which are the Red Raven and his comic books? Will Sei Young actually say yes to James Darling, or will she tell him to take his one ring to rule them all and leave? Those are real stakes. And so I thought that the more that we could find people that had a real sense of purpose and why they were going to Comic-Con, that it would be really relatable to a lot of people.
Hi, Morgan. Joseph in Toronto. Congratulations. I love the film.
Oh, thanks.
I was just wondering, when was the first time you went to Comic-Con, and what was that like for you? I felt like this film was the closest I'll ever get to it. But
yeah.
I felt like I actually did to some extent, So, what was it like your first time being there?
Yeah, the very first time I went, I had been to cons before, like in New York, Chicago, even in, my home state of West Virginia. When I was a kid, I went to a very tiny, comic book convention there. But, I had never been, but always had wanted to go to San Diego. And when I got hired to do the Simpsons 20th anniversary special for Fox back in 2009, the minute we got that job, I said, we're going to Comic-Con. I said, we're going to go to Comic-Con. We're going to go there and we're going to find Simpsons super fans, because I said, if we're going to make a special, that kind of, gets to the heart of fandom and being a Simpson fan, we have to go there. And when we were there, I was just kind of so overwhelmed with what the place, it spoke to everything that I loved as a kid, and to see all these fans and these passionate people that were there, I said, you know what, this is a movie. Like, this place is a film. And later that night, when we were, there shooting, it was a Friday night, I met Stan Lee. And I went over just to tell him. And when I was a kid, Stan Lee was one of the reasons that I really got into comics as a kid to begin with. I watched, back in the day, if you remember, on the Electric Company, they used to have these terrible live-action Spider-Man bits that were on the show. And so I really loved Spider-Man on that show. And my mom's like, oh, you should read the Spider-Man comic book. So she started buying me Spider-Man comics. Then I started reading X-Men. I started reading the Avengers. I started reading like G.I. Joe. And so it was because of him that I got into comics, and I told him, I was just like, I just want to thank you. It's because of you that, I really believe I got the courage to tell my own stories. When I was a kid, I started writing my own comics, and they were out of the comics that you made. And he said, oh my God, Morgan, thank you. That's so nice of you. He goes, we should make a movie together. We should make a documentary. We should make a documentary about Comic-Con. And I was like, yes, we should, Mr. Lee. So nice to meet you. And literally, cut to a year later, we were making a movie about Comic-Con with Stan Lee. I mean, it was nuts.
Hey, Morgan, Henry from the Geek Speak Show again. The DVD comes packaged with you guys, you Stan, Harry, and Joss, and you in action figures. How does it feel being immortalized as an action figure now?
It is probably the coolest thing I'll ever get to have in my life. The fact that to be in an action figure in a not only an action figure pack, but in an action figure pack with Joss Whedon, who is like such a hero of mine as well. It's kind of awesome. So when the guys who we distributed the film with, the folks at NECA and Wreck and Hill, suggested that we make action figures for the DVD, I was like, that is such a great idea, and I thought they were just very smart about it. Joel, who runs NECA, was just really, from the very beginning, he goes, we have to make action figures for the DVD, and I think it was just such a smart idea.
Hi, this is Jana Maji with RogerEbert.com,
yeah.
And I wondered two things. One is there anything, and I haven't seen the movie yet, and I don't have the DVD, is there anything that you wish you could have put in? And then the second thing would be, what advice would you have to someone like me who's going to Comic-Con for the first time?
Are you going this year for the first time?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh, that is so exciting. Wow, comfortable shoes, that's number one. That is the number one thing is comfortable shoes. And number two is make sure you eat before you go there, because it is so impossible. Like, the food lines are massive. It's so hard to get anything to eat. Yeah, but comfortable shoes is my number one advice to everybody. Yeah.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to take a couple showers a day, because it gets very hot in there, and other people get very hot. Some people might brush up against you. You might get some Wookiee sweat on you. So I am never afraid to like bathe twice while at Comic-Con. Yeah.
I'll watch out for the Wookiee sweat.
Yeah, it's like, some of those Chewies can get a little drippy, so you got to be careful.
Okay.
But there were so many people. One of the things that was great is about the film, and which is why I'm so excited about the DVD, because there were so many great interviews with people that that we had. Kevin Smith's interview in the film was amazing. Stan, Joss, of course, were all great. And then there were people that we just couldn't put in the film. Like Jerry Robinson was the guy who created the Joker, who now has since passed away. We had a great interview with him. Nathan Fillion, we had a couple great interviews with him, or a couple great lines from him that we ended up cutting out of the film. That's now on the DVD. Felicia Day also, her interview we ended up trimming out of the movie. So you have to make really difficult decisions when you're in the edit, and thankfully, now we've packed so much of that on the DVD that it's just. Grant Morrison gave one of the best interviews in the film. We were able to expand on that. So there's great stuff on the DVD, and I think that's what makes it really. That's what makes it, as a fan, that's what makes that I'm excited about.
Okay, I'll have to get the DVD then.
Now I have to get the DVD.
So if you're gonna dress up to go to Comic-Con, what would you dress up as?
Well, I took my son last year, because we had a companion book that we made for the film that actually came out, almost a year before the film. And so we launched the book last year, and I took my son, who's 5 years old, to Comic-Con for the first time. And so it was so exciting. He was so excited for him, and I was showing him the book that has just these amazing photographs in it that were taken by Albatol. And so he's flipping through the book, looking at all these pictures, looking at the pictures, and I'm like, and that's where we're going. We're going there next week. And he's like, oh, Daddy, I could be Batman. And I said, yes, you could be Batman. And I'm driving in the car, and he flips a couple more pages. He starts seeing more kids in costumes, and he stops, and he goes, no, you could be Batman, and I could be Batboy. And I said, yes, we can. And so there we were last year as Batman and Batboy in Comic-Con. As I was walking around with my little bat son, and but I was like the much more kind of porn Batman with my porn star mustache that I have. So it was I was Batman with like the porn star mustache.
Morgan, this was a much larger film than a lot of the things you've done. You said you worked with a lot of crews working at the same time. How was that different for you, and how did you handle the scope of all that?
Yeah, this was by far the biggest film that I've ever made. We had about 150 people on it, working on the movie. We had 25 cameras that were rolling at any given moment, 15 full crews. So within those crews, a producer also had the ability to pick up a second camera. So there was a tremendous amount of footage being shot. And so as we were going along, like every morning we would have our kind of war room meetings where we would talk about here's what we're going to shoot today, here's where we're going to go. And I literally spent my entire day bouncing from crew to crew to crew to crew, shoot to shoot to shoot. So I would be there for what I thought were kind of the more important moments. Like it was at the masquerade, I was at the proposal, I was on the psych for certain interviews with different people. But like my day was spent bouncing around from start to finish. We would get up at 6 in the morning and kind of have our pre-production meetings, talk about what we're shooting for the day. We'd usually start rolling between 8 or 9, so I would be out kind of in the field bouncing around all day. We usually wrapped at about 9 p.m. every night, where I would come back and with my co-producers Jeremy Chilnick and Matthew Galkin, we would then sit down and start screening footage that was coming in from the crews, so we could see what moments we felt we were missing or what we were getting from especially the characters we were following, from Holly or Skip or Eric. We would be watching all of their footage, and then we would make notes on them. So we would watch footage for about 3-4 hours every night, which would usually last about 1 in the morning. We'd talk about what we were going to do the next day until about 2, then go to bed for like 3-4 hours. Like what you realize about that film, or what a lot of people don't realize, is that whole movie was shot within a week. So from, we shot with people before they left, kind of them road tripping to Comic-Con, and then everything that was at Comic-Con, all the interviews, as well as all the stuff that's in the film, was actually shot during the con. So when the con was over and we followed our people home, we were done. Like, we didn't shoot anymore. So it's a very effective way to make a film that you can shoot a whole movie in 7 days. But at the same time, I mean, it was a massive undertaking. But it was by far the greatest experience I've ever had making a movie. It was such an incredible time. All right, cool guys. Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay, so there you go. That was Morgan Spurlock, director of a Comic-Con episode 4, A Fan's Hope. Thanks again for that. Now let's talk to somebody who helps plan Comic-Con, the real Comic-Con, not the movie, and WonderCon and Ape. He's been on before. You guys have heard him many times before. David Glanzer, director of marketing and PR for Comic-Con International. David, welcome back to the Geek Speak Show.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, and I was going to sing, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
You know what it is? It's always a lot of fun, but it's always a little crazy.
Yeah, fun crazy, but yeah, very crazy.
Yeah.
So I know when you first came on with us, you yourself are a geek like the rest of us. What do you personally? I know you may not have time to be at those panels or anything, but what are you personally looking forward to at this year's Comic-Con?
You know, that's a great question, and I don't even know. There is literally a sensory overload. There's so much cool stuff to do. Last year, there was a lot of panels I wanted to see, and I saw none of them. What I did have a chance to do was at least look at photographs and pictures and things like that afterwards, and I have a feeling this is going to be the same thing this year. But maybe I'll sneak away and catch a couple of things. One of my real fun things I love to do is, do you ever go to Starship Smackdown? That's a great panel.
Yes. Yeah.
And quick draw also. Sergio is an amazing artist, and if I can get into those, I'll be a happy camper.
Yeah, something new that came last year to Comic-Con, and obviously was a big hit, and it's back again, is the virtual driving, which is pretty fun, actually. How do you decide which films to feature for the virtual driving?
Well, you know, we get a lot of requests, and unfortunately now, you know, we have to say no almost more than we say yes. But we try to maintain a diversity, not only in all programs, but with television and films. So there isn't only one type of film. We hope to have, whether it be movies or television or even other programming, stuff that will end up appealing to a wider audience. So it's not an easy task. You get a lot of stuff in, But another thing too is, it's availability. Sometimes the company will say, "Oh, we'd love to bring this, but it can only be on this day and this time." And sadly, if that just doesn't work out, we have to say, well, maybe next year. But we try to be as accommodating as we can. We try to have some fun stuff. But I think I've even mentioned this to you before. It's kind of like a giant Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
Programming is like with a lot of stuff at the Comic-Con, so much of it is dependent on so many different things. So we try to do a good job, and hopefully we have.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we just finished talking to director Morgan Spurlock, who did the Comic-Con documentary. First of all, have you had a chance to see it yet?
Yeah, in fact, I went to Toronto he had invited me to the Toronto Film Festival, so I had a chance to see it up there. And he was kind enough to actually come out and show us a screener beforehand. So I've seen it a few times, and I have to tell you, he, I think he managed to capture a lot of the essence of Comic-Con. If you've never been to Comic-Con, I think if you watch this documentary, you get a good idea of what goes on there. What'd you think of it?
I loved it. I mean, I had him on right before it was released theatrically. And you know what Morgan is known for, the Super Size Me and those kinds of movies.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was a little worried what he was going to do with it. But as soon as but as soon as I saw it, and I told him this on air, it is very respectful. I'll say it, I'll describe it as that. And it's very touching, especially with the not the celebrities, but the protagonists that we follow. Because
it really is. I have to tell you, those were our exact concerns that we had. And in fact, we've been approached a lot by other companies who wanted to do documentaries, and we really always said no. But Morgan, when he gave us his proposal, he really came in with a lot of heart. And he said he really didn't want to do anything that was negative in nature. He was a fan himself, and he thought these people should be celebrated. And we thought, you know what, we're gonna, we know what he did in the past, but I remember, literally saying to Morgan, we're trusting you. We're gonna go ahead and let you do your thing. We only ask that you don't get in anybody's way, and maintain, safety rules and go for it. And you're right, it is very touching. In fact, there's several scenes in there that are really emotional because I think it really conveys the fans in a really, really accurate light.
Yeah, and it makes you, for people who haven't been to a Comic-Con yet, it does let you know that there are other sides of Comic-Con besides, the Hollywood and the TV studios. There's people going there who want to break into the business, whether it be comic book or whatever it is, and you get to see that in Morgan's documentary.
Yeah, there's a lot of amazingly creative people here, and whether you're a collector of stamps or you're a fanatic for baseball or comic books, I think it portrays people in a very realistic light and shows everybody that there's an amazing cross section of people at Comic-Con, and you may think of them as one way, but everyone is multifaceted, and you're right. I think he did a wonderful job of really bringing life to those people.
Yeah, and what made you guys finally say yeah? Because there's been no documentary or anything filmed really at Comic-Con, and besides the fact, walking in with Stan Lee, Joss Whedon, kind of hard to say no to that. But what made you guys finally say yeah?
Well, that's a great question. I think when you have Stan Lee and you have Joss on board, we thought, those are people who, are big fans themselves, and we can't imagine that they would actually do something negative. Because it would reflect badly on them too, and if nothing else, we hope that they would actually be accurate. And if there was a negative aspect to it, then that's okay. But so long as they were fair and about things, then we were going to go ahead and accept that. And I thought he certainly was.
And we're talking to David Glanzer, Director of Marketing and Public Relations for Comic-Con International. They put on WonderCon, Comic-Con, as you can hear in the background. Ape coming to San Francisco in October. And David, it seems like we introduce a new member of the staff every time you come on. Here's another new one. Her name is Amanda. Say hello to David.
Hello.
Hey, Amanda. How are you?
Good. How are you doing? I was curious. Will the new ticket purchase system be the same next year?
We hope so. One of the things that we really tried to do with this member ID was to be able to kind of hoping to thwart a lot of the counterfeit tickets that are out there. And it's not so much that we have a big concern about the monetary aspect of it. It's that the building can only accommodate so many people within the building. We go through great pains to make sure that we know each person who has a badge is actually supposed to have a badge. What's been happening in the past is we're finding a lot of people selling badges that don't exist, they're not real badges, making counterfeits and all that, and this member ID thing is supposed to hopefully help that a bit. We'll see at the end of this year if that really actually works. We've seen a huge decrease in a lot of counterfeit badges before the show anyway, so hopefully that will work out, and hopefully next year it'll be a lot smoother process.
Any plans to bring back on-site registering?
on-site is really difficult, and the reason being is there's just so many people now who get in line that we just can't accommodate them. Last year we had to move on-site press off-site because we just couldn't accommodate the lines, and even then we had people lining up, at 5 o'clock in the morning, which again we had a huge situation, and some of those lines, ran outside the hotel and down sidewalks and whatnot, and we got a lot of complaints from local businesses about that. So this year we're going to have pre-reg online in August, and we'll see how that all works out.
Yeah, and then it's Comic-Con. I mean, you got to know what you're going to get into, because it is like trying to get into the Super Bowl. Comic-Con is the biggest event for us geeks, so that's something you get. I mean, when you go to Disneyland, you're going to be in for line. So same thing here.
Right, and we try to be as fair as we can. We try, and it seems like nobody likes lines, but I have to tell you, I remember being in line for Empire Strikes Back. I was one of those people who slept on Hollywood Boulevard, because I wanted to be one of the first people in line. And you know what? I met friends there that are still friends today, and I hope that people can, make the best of the line situation even at Comic-Con.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one of the best parts in line is you make, like you said, lifelong friends.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so we also we just finished. Well, it feels like we just finished, but WonderCon in Anaheim this year. 4 months removed. How do you see WonderCon?
It's funny. We left WonderCon and went right into Comic-Con, so I still don't have a final number. I don't know that we did as well as we had in WonderCon the year before, but we had 50,000 people at this show. But an exhibitor had said to me, while it was certainly WonderCon in Anaheim, it was such a success, both in terms of attendees and panel participants and all that he said, I look at it less as the next WonderCon. I look at it as the first Anaheim convention that we did, because it was a new venue, new city, and for a first-time show, it did really, really well. So we've heard from exhibitors, we've heard from attendees that everybody really enjoyed it, and I'm glad they did, because it was a big gamble to do that one in Anaheim.
Yeah, as you know, we were there also, and we had a really fun time. Had some great new people at the Anaheim convention. Do you have any news on Moscone, or has anything happened on that front?
Well, no, we're still hoping to return to San Francisco, but Moscone can't give us dates yet in our regular time frame. So I'm not exactly sure what'll happen. We're all focused on Comic-Con right now, but I think everything's on the table. We certainly want WonderCon to continue. We would love to be in San Francisco, but San Francisco was a great venue too. So I don't know. Like I said, we haven't had a chance to really focus much on it, but I don't know. Everything's up in the air right now.
Yeah, and as soon as you finish Comic-Con, you start getting ready for Ape, because that's coming up on October 13th and 14th, right?
Right, and that's still in San Francisco, and that's a really fun show to do. It's a nice, it's a smaller show compared to all other shows, but it's a great show, and I always look forward to that one.
Yeah, me too, because like I said, you can feel the passion and hear it in the artists that are there.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so it's David Glanzer, Director of Marketing and Public Relations for Comic-Con International. You can hear all the excitement going on behind him. I won't be there this year. Arielle, Louise are there. We'll talk to them in just a little bit. David, thanks a lot. We will see you hopefully in October when you come here for Ape, and you're welcome back on the show anytime.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing you in October.
Yeah, man. Have a great Comic-Con.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dave. Bye-bye. So here we go, going on with the big Comic-Con show. Thanks to David Glanzer again for coming on, Director of Public Relations and Marketing for Comic-Con. They put on WonderCon, Comic-Con, and Ape for us. We'll talk to him again in October when they come here to San Francisco for Ape. But somebody else who's been on the show is back with us again, Marc Zicree. He is the creator, the writer, producer, and maybe director of some of the episodes for Space Command. Space Command, a web series coming pretty soon. Very cool project. Kickstarter set it off. You guys made it the most successful project on Kickstarter. We think it has to be. Marc, welcome back to the Geek Speak Show.
Glad to be here, Henry. I always enjoy it.
Yeah, so before we get to the Comic-Con panels and the party and everything that's happening over there, tell us a little bit about Space Command.
Well, Space Command is this big epic story of the future. It follows two families, the Kemmer family and the Sikander family, as they're part of this great mass exploration and colonization of our solar system and then out into the stars. So it follows several generations of these two families and we're telling it in a series of feature films and also half-hour stories as well. So it's a big, epic science fiction story filled with all the stuff we love from shows like Star Trek and Forbidden Planet, and writers like Heinlein and Bradbury and Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke. It's just all the stuff I loved growing up with science fiction. Space Command is very much in that tradition.
Yeah, and it's not just what it's inspired by; it's also who it's being done by, including yourself. Ian McKeag joined you the last time you guys were on with us. Tell us a little bit about the behind-the-scenes crew, also.
Well, it's just an amazing A-team of people. We have, as you mentioned, Ian McKeag, who designed Darth Maul and Queen Amidala, and more recently he was on John Carter and the Avengers as a designer. And Doug Drexler, who's won 2 Emmys and an Oscar as the effects guy on things like Battlestar Galactica and all the recent Star Trek series. And additionally, I brought a number of my friends who are actors aboard, Armin Shimmerman from Deep Space Nine, and Ethan Phillips from Voyager, and Doug Jones from Pan's Labyrinth and Hellboy, and just on and on and on. Billy Mooney from Lost in Space and Babylon 5. Just pretty much everyone I've reached out to has said yes, and it's just a dream come true for me.
So we're talking to Marc Zicree. He's the creator, writer, producer of the upcoming Space Command web series.
Marc, what can you tell us about the Comic-Con panel?
Well, it's terrific. I mean, we're Friday night, 8:30 in room 5A and B, which is a big room, and we've planned a number of things to make it just incredibly fun and exciting. First of all, a lot of our team will be on the panel with us. So Ian McKeag will be there, Doug Drexler, Doug Jones, some of our actresses, Christina Moses and Catherine McEwen. But also we're going to be unveiling a new trailer with incredible footage from Doug Drexler, and Ian McKeag is going to be unveiling his character designs of all of our lead characters. Plus, we're having a drawing where someone who comes to that panel, someone in the audience, will draw their name, and Ian McKeag will draw them as an alien live during the panel, and that alien will then be a character in our movie. So they'll actually get to be in the movie as that character that Ian McKeag designed.
See, of all the years for me not to go to Comic-Con, look what I'm going to miss.
It's going to be great fun. It's going to be really great fun. And then the next night we're having our big countdown party, because Saturday night is the end of our Kickstarter campaign, and so we're going to have a big party for Comic-Con, and all of our backers will be able to watch us streaming online live as we count down the last minutes till 9 p.m. Pacific time when our campaign ends. So it's been quite a ride the last couple months.
Is that party going to be open to all attendees or just the backers?
Any attendee, yeah. Anyone who's a Comic-Con attendee can come to that party, and we'll have a number of hors d'oeuvres. and also will be Ian McKeag will be at that party too, and so a lot of our creative personnel will be at that party, and the fans can talk to them, and etc. So it's going to be. I mean, this whole thing has been a two-way conversation between us and the audience, and we love continuing that in every way we can.
Yeah, no better way to do it than to actually be there in person, face to face with them at Comic-Con. Now, like you said, Saturday is when it ends, the campaign, the Kickstarter campaign. As soon as that ends, how soon do you expect to go into production on Space Command?
Well, we're planning on shooting in October. We're doing a series of films and a series of shorter stories. So we're already building sets and spacesuits and doing our character designs and really laying track. I've written most of the first script. I've outlined many of the other scripts. So we're going to be very fast out of the gate, and so again, and our website, the moment the Kickstarter campaign ends, right now if you go on spacecommandmovie.com, you go to our Kickstarter page and click through to the website. But as soon as the campaign ends, it'll be directly to the website, so that people can continue to see our progress day by day, week by week. We're we're continually putting up artwork and all sorts of other wonderful things from the project.
Yeah, we'll have a link to that as soon as it happens on our links page, so be on the lookout for that. So again, you're going to be at Comic-Con. You said the panel, the party, everything that's going on there. You go to our link section, go there. It's all on there. You can follow the progress, everything. Before I do let you go, I know you mentioned it last time. You're working on a book with Guillermo del Toro. Can you tease a little bit about the Cabinet of Curiosities?
Sure. Guillermo is this amazing guy, and he keeps these phenomenal notebooks with character sketches and ideas and all sorts of things about projects, both films that have been made and films that have not yet been made. And so we're doing this big coffee table book that consists of that material, those sketches and support materials, with this book-long conversation between me and Guillermo talking about all of his inspirations and his work and specifically this material. So it's been just an amazing journey to have those conversations with Guillermo, and so it'll be really a great project. It comes out a year from October, So it's something definitely to keep an eye out from Palace Press is publishing it. So, and I'm sure that when it comes out, Guillermo and I will be doing signings, and also at Comic-Con this year we're doing Space Command signings. So we'll at Geek the Geek Escape booth, and we'll be signing posters and all sorts of stuff. So Ian McCaig and Doug Wexler and myself. So, you know, whether it's the Guillermo Project or Space Command, I just love the give and take between myself and the audience.
Yeah, so that one's going to be, if I'm understanding you correctly, sort of a picture book of his collection.
Yes, but it's specifically the notebooks. I mean, we'll have photos from what he calls the man cave, Bleak House, where he keeps all of his wonderful, weird stuff. It's an amazing house. But the main focus will be these incredible notebooks. So you'll see his creative process, doing sketches and jotting down ideas for Pan's Labyrinth and all of his films, Hellboy and Blade 2, you name it. And it's just amazing. And you'll also see how the unfilmed projects like Mountains of Madness inform the films that he actually does create. So it's a real personal view into his creative process. I think it's going to be quite a phenomenal book when it comes out.
Yeah, definitely something to look forward to. He's a pretty good writer. Also, I don't know if you read the Strain Prophecy. That one was phenomenal.
Yes,
that's how you do vampires.
I know he's an amazing creative spirit. It's so much fun spending time with him and just getting to know him. He's one of a kind.
Yeah, so again, it's Marc Zicree. He's the creator, writer, producer of the upcoming Space Command web series that will be at Comic-Con. Those of you who are there, what room was it again, Marc?
It's going to be room 5A and B, Friday night, 8:30 p.m., and the party will be Saturday night, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Embassy Suite.
So there you go. Go on there, meet everybody, watch the trailer, and just have a whole lot of fun as a countdown to the end of the Kickstarter campaign, and we get ready to finally see the pilot for Space Command. So
it's going to be great.
Yeah, Marc, again, thanks a lot for coming on. You're welcome back anytime, and have fun at Comic-Con.
Thanks very much, Henry. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Okay, Marc, thanks a lot. Okay, so that's Marc Zicree from Space Command. Again, one of the most successful Kickstarter campaigns. So it's ending this weekend. Go to our link section. It's all on there for you. So now we go from Space Command back down here to Earth to video games. Your specialty,
yes,
Amanda. And also a big one for me because I have been a Tomb Raider fan from I'll say back then there were a lot of games that there was a reason why you bought the PlayStation 1. For me, it was this one, Tomb Raider. That's why I bought the PlayStation 1. Now, feel old. It's getting the reboot even. So on to talk about it is Karl Stewart, who is the global brand director. Karl, welcome to the Geek Speak Show.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So let me start off by asking you, when and why did you feel that Tomb Raider needed a reboot?
So probably about 3.5 years ago, we were just finishing off Tomb Raider Underworld, and Crystal Dynamics, very honored to have been given the opportunity to take on the Tomb Raider franchise. Back sort of 10 years ago, they're about 8 years ago, and we did, as you know, Legend Anniversary and Underworld. And during that time, we always, as a studio, wanted to put our mark on the franchise. We wanted to make it fresh and sort of bring a new perspective to Tomb Raider, which we felt, certainly it was lacking over the last few years. So it was a real opportunity for us to sort of say, instead of just taking Tomb Raider after Underworld and just continuing the canon and the mantle, it was taking inspiration from all the great mediums and properties out there who have managed to be around so long and reimagine themselves, reinvent themselves in a way, such as the Batman and the James Bond. We thought, in for a penny, in for a pound, let's take the risk and let's make this reimagining. And here we are. We're very happy where we are right now. It's been accepted really well by the fans, who are first and foremost, because with any franchise sort of saying we're going to try something new, there's always a concern that the people who loved the franchise for the last 15 years will be the ones to kind of go, it ain't happening. But no, we're very happy how it's gone so far.
Now, actually, do you guys, and I'm glad you mentioned the Dark Knight and the Batman reboots and the 007 reboots. Add to that would be Star Trek. Do you guys approach this as a reboot or a reimagining of Tomb Raider?
So it's almost a bit of each. It's a reboot of the franchise because we're taking it from day one, and we're sort of saying, this is it. This is a girl who you will get to know and go in that journey. But it's also a reimagining in the sense that, we look at things such as James Bond's or the Batmans, and they didn't reenact the newer versions to be exactly as they were when they came out at first. And that was important to us, that we didn't just want to bring Lara of yesteryear back to the gaming screen and sort of have her the exact same as before. there are some deep sort of foundations and pillars of making sure that Tomb Raider feels like Tomb Raider, but there's also a sense of we want to reimagine it. We want people to play this character and feel like she has a personality. She shows emotion. When she becomes that action-adventure hero, you've gone on the journey with her. So, much like Batman Begins, they didn't just show his parents being killed, and they didn't just sort of set the story up in a way in which it's traditionally been done. They brought you on this journey that showed you a side to the character that you've never seen before. So when you actually got stuck into the movie after the first hour, you felt like you knew that person. So they reimagined it, and much like we're trying to do now, is that you feel it's familiar yet different. You definitely know it's Lara Croft, but what you're appreciating is that you're feeling and seeing this character emerge and become this action-adventure hero that's relatable.
Yeah, the Tomb Raider games have such a long history. I mean, you're looking at about 16 years of storytelling, so how did you decide what to keep and what to create from scratch and make new?
Well, that's a tough one to answer because I don't want to give away any spoilers. We spent a lot of time making sure that there's the sort of iconography throughout the game. Lara has always had her twin pistols or the braid or her outfit, and she's changed in this game. As you would have seen in the last year, we've been out talking about it and presenting it. She's a very different-looking Lara, but we need to make sure that in the pillars of what makes Tomb Raider, we don't forget who we are, so that as you play through the game, you'll feel like, I now know the first time she ever did this or the first time she raided the tomb, so that you feel like going forward, she's now my Lara Croft. She's still a Tomb Raider. She's still this, adventurous, maybe a little bit naive because it's the first adventure, but we spent a lot of time making sure that we keep the iconography of what made Tomb Raider special over all these years. And we've pushed aside, for now, some of the backstory, which we feel that in reimagining or rebooting a franchise, you want to have a fresh entry point for people to be able to feel like, now I understand this character. Then we can layer in all of the backstory in a way in which players feel like they now understand, they're a part of. So it's a difficult process. I wouldn't say it's easy. It's taken a lot of time to get where we are, but we're very proud with the fact that we've been able to take something that's been around for 16 years and give it a very fresh approach, but still have it that when we bring in the Tomb Raider fans and allow them to play it in the studio and do some focus testing, they all put the controller down and say, that feels like my Lara. You're just presenting it to me in a very fresh and new way.
Yeah, I don't know if you consider this a spoiler or not. I'll let you be the judge of that, but will you incorporate the puzzle solving that was in the original Tomb Raider games? Because that's one of the most popular features from those games.
Oh, without a doubt. The big things for us is that when reimagining the franchise, we kept three things that were tried and true, and they were the formula of what made Tomb Raider successful. And that was her exploration, her puzzle solving, and her combat. And then, as you know, over the years, the puzzles became very same. The exploration was a bit linear. It was sort of very much going from ledge to ledge. And combat just became dated. So for us, we've taken those three pillars and we've said, let's reimagine them. Let's reimagine those pillars and use that as the foundation for the franchise. So with combat now, it's all survival combat because she's on an island, and we've shown the fact that she's forced into kill or be killed situations. So we're in a whole new team. We've developed a very new system, which we're going to be showing very, very shortly, on how combat is relevant to the world. Then you have your exploration, which is now dynamic traversal. Years ago, you'd have Lara going from ledge to ledge and very specific binary movements. Now we give the player the opportunity to truly explore and move around with freedom inside of our hub spaces. And then we get back to sort of the smart, resourceful Lara, which to us is where we take puzzle solving and we amp it up. We've taken the idea of Lara coming into a situation, and in the past, she'd move levers and, push rocks and sort of use it to be able to manipulate the situation. Now we're in this location that has been inhabited by other people for such a long time that there's mechanisms and there's gears and the world is alive, that she's just come into it. Now she has to do sort of intuitive, smart analyzing to be able to say, this is still a puzzle, but it's a puzzle that feels like it could exist. These people have been using these things for something else. I now have to come in and manipulate them. So the more situational analysis puzzles, as well as there's some traditional puzzles built into the game, of course, because it's Tomb Raider, and we want the success of that to ring through. But we've built this in a way where the player feels like I'm playing something fresh, but it's still a very difficult puzzle for me to try and overcome, but it's challenging.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the Tomb Raider reboot. Like I said, this is one of my favorite games, one that I really, it made me buy the PlayStation 1 back then. So we're talking to Karl Stewart, who's the global brand director for the Tomb Raider reboot. They will have a big presence at Comic-Con this week and into the weekend. So Karl, tell us exactly where and when we can see everything Tomb Raider at Comic-Con.
Wow, so we get a busy show. So our main hub is we are the main sponsors of Zach Levi's Nerd HQ at Block 16. So if people come down, there's dozens of units to be able to get your hands on the game and play, sponsored by Xbox as well. And then we have our presence on the show floor with our Spike VGAs. We have a presence of Tomb Raider there. We have our Square Enix booth where you'll be able to play Tomb Raider at that location. And then we also have our GameSpot partnership with Lou and Mickey's, where you'll be able to get, I think we've got 8 or 9 units in there for people to get their hands on. And then with our partnership with Microsoft, we have their showcase event on at the Hard Rock Cafe, or Hard Rock Hotel. So all in all, there's plenty of places to be able to get your hands on the game. And then the big cherry on the top for us is that on Saturday then we have 2 panels, one at Nerd HQ, hosted by Zach, and then one at Comic-Con Room 5AB between 6 to 7, where we have Jeff Keighley, host of Spike TV, also moderating for us. And we have the entire writing cast, including Camilla Luddington, the voice of and character of Lara. We have Noah, and we have all the team who bring Tomb Raider to life. They're available for people to ask questions and get an insight as to what we're doing.
Yeah, you guys actually just introduced Camilla Luddington not too long ago. Talk about how you decided on her being not only the new voice, but also the mocap actress for the new Lara Croft.
Yeah, it was very important to us that in these scenes we were creating within the game, these situations, we didn't want them to feel disjointed. We didn't want the voice to feel like it was recorded in a booth and then somebody else performed the mocap. So when looking for the right person to do the job, we interviewed and we cast hundreds and hundreds of girls from all around the world. And in some of those very early stages, we actually had Camilla come in and do some work for us. And every single time we judged somebody, we ended up judging them back against Camilla. And before long, we were basically came to the conclusion, we were like, Camilla's the best person for this role. She's not only strong, smart, but she brings something unique to this role, which we hadn't seen in some of the other actresses who had come through. And then to beat that, she was also very, very keen on jumping into the suit and performing the role of Lara to make sure that as every single scene came to life, you really felt the emotion of the scene. So, when we record most of our lines and we record the mocap and her facial movements, it all happens at the same time with the entire cast, all in one big area. And we just released a video yesterday, actually, which is called The Final Hours of Tomb Raider, where we sat with Zach and we actually brought him on the process with Camilla of how it comes to life. And that really shows us a side to our passion for bringing this game to life with Camilla, is that it's not just about doing what we've always done. It's about creating something new and about making sure that the emotion rings true in every single situation that we have.
Yeah, I have a link to that video up in our link section, so you guys can take a look at that if you haven't yet. And again, Tomb Raider is going to have a huge presence at Comic-Con, so everything you wanted to know about the Tomb Raider reboot, or didn't want to know, you will after Comic-Con. And even better, what better than seeing Lara Croft and Chuck in a panel together? What more could you ask for?
Yeah, and also for everybody who's listening, anybody who's coming out to Comic-Con, come by any of our core 3 locations, the Lou and Mickey's, the Nerd HQ, or the Square Enix booth, and they can give them a chance to win a fully branded Tomb Raider Xbox 360. We'll have them on show. They look really, really cool.
That got Amanda excited. Now you got to book in your flight to San Diego all of a sudden. So it's Karl Stewart. He is the global brand director for Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider, the game, will be released March 5th. Is it, Karl?
Yeah, March 5th, 2013 on Xbox, PlayStation 3, and PC.
Yeah, so definitely looking forward to that. Karl, thanks a lot. You are welcome back anytime, and have a great San Diego Comic-Con.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Thanks, Karl.
Soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so going on with our big, huge Comic-Con show, almost as big as Comic-Con itself. Go from video games, the Tomb Raider reboot, pretty interesting. It's the best for you, our video game expert here. So now we go with something that's synonymous with not just Comic-Con, but any convention, and that is cosplaying. And she's been on before, but of course, if we're going to talk cosplaying, you got to go to the world-famous Yaya Han. Yaya, welcome back to the Geek Speak Show.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. And obviously, since this is the big Comic-Con show, means that you're also going to be at a Comic-Con. So, and you'll be doing the Sociology of Cosplay panel. So tell us when, where, and what that's all about.
I am incredibly excited about my panel. DeviantArt asked me to do one of their 5 panels, their 5 official Comic-Con panels, and they slotted me in for tomorrow, Thursday, at noon in room 2. So I will be talking about the unique social structure of cosplay and a variety of topics.
Yeah, so those of you who are going to be there, because it's also that room 2, 12 p.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow, as we record this, Thursday. Whenever you're listening to this, if you're listening to this on Friday, well, you missed it already. Yeah. Last time you were on, you mentioned that you thought that Comic-Con wasn't too cosplayer friendly. Why did you say that?
Well, it is because it is a very, it's a big, busy, crowded show, and you can't actually bring very elaborate costumes without being pretty miserable, after a few hours. It's just very difficult to walk around and try to look at things while you're in costume because you get stopped for photos constantly. And some of the hotels are pretty far away, so you have to shuttle in costume. So things like that need to be considered. I mean, it doesn't stop people from bringing really awesome costumes every year. Right. And I think this year might be a really big year for cosplay. And and the fact that they're doing a cosplay panel, giving me the opportunity to present it, I think that shows Comic-Con's increasing interest in cosplay.
Well, speaking of people stopping you, where will you be able to be signing autographs for everyone?
Well, I'm going to be floating around various booths this year, starting with tonight, preview night. I'll be at the Quantum Mechanics booth, which is 2944, and I'll be signing my 2013 cosplay calendar there. And then tomorrow, Thursday, I'll be at the Gentle Giant booth at 2 p.m., and I'll be signing there and promoting something brand new that they are unveiling. So I'm super excited.
Ooh.
Yeah, she can't tell us here, or she'd have to kill us. No, and you're obviously gonna bring your the 2013 calendar, which, by the way, you guys can get. Those of you who are not going to be at Comic-Con this year, you can get it on our main page on the Geek Speak Show webpage. It's right on where you're listening to the podcast. Just scroll down a little. She's right there. Click on there. You can pre-order it.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, anytime. Also, sounds like you're not, but do you think you'll have any free time just for you to walk around the floor while you're there?
Oh, very little. I don't know how it happened, but my schedule is pretty jam-packed this weekend. I do have a photo shoot tomorrow morning that is a full Melkoumian DC Comics figures group, and I'm so excited because I've always wanted to do a full group. I'll be wearing my Wonder Woman, and there will be 5 to 7 other people. They have some brand new costumes that they've been working on. We'll have a Huntress and Duella Dent. We'll have a Batman and Jade. I mean, Hawkgirl. All of them will be there. So I'm super excited. That is kind of my free time. I'm like getting up early for it. But then, it's signing at Gentle Giant tomorrow afternoon. On Friday, I'm actually going to be off-site for another project for most of the day. But then I'm coming back to sign at the Anobos booth at 5:30 p.m. That's Friday. Saturday, I'm back at Gentle Giant at 2:30 p.m. And Sunday, I will be at the Pinup World booth signing at noon. And back at Anobos signing at 2. So it's like a lot of running around with my calendars, and I will also debut a new costume on Saturday, which is the video game Arkham City Catwoman. Ooh. And I've loved the design since I saw the game and played it, and been wanting to do it for almost a year now, and it took about 50 hours just to put the bodysuit together because it's a puzzle of so many different pieces. And, it was a challenging project, but I'm super excited to debut it.
Yeah, most of us that have been following you on Facebook and on Twitter, especially on Facebook, we actually saw the progress you were posting up pictures, and we also saw the dress from the extra stuff that was left over, the evening dress that you had. So actually,
I know. I was just like, what am I going to do with this fabric? I still have so much of it because custom printed. It was expensive to get. I'm like, I'm not just going to, let it just hang out. I'm going to make something with it.
Yeah.
So I made the dress, and I still have enough left over to make a bikini.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and now your entire schedule, you can find it on yayahan.com. It's up in our link section. You can go there. We also put a link to it on our Facebook page. So if you're there wondering where you can see Yaya Han, it's all on there, including the Sociology of Cosplay panel. Actually, Amanda, you had some questions because you and your husband actually.
Yeah, actually very interested in getting into cosplay. So as someone who's never done any cosplay costumes or weaponry, do you have any tips, any heads up about materials we should or shouldn't be using?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can go a couple different routes. If you've never made a costume before, you could try to choose a character that you can put the costume together from found pieces, so altered clothing pieces, or you can start off with a costume that you can buy from someone else. But I strongly suggest to, maybe buy a couple of the pieces and then trying to put the rest together yourself, because most of the joy of cosplay is actually making it yourself.
Okay.
It definitely is about taking time to do your research. You can Google a ton of tutorials online about various techniques and, even materials. And you also should consider things like getting a wig that really matches the character's hair color and style, and getting the details such as the correct footwear down, because that can really make or break a costume. But it's a lot of fun. It's a very dedicated art form, and it's just a wonderful way to experience a convention through a costume.
Yeah, your costumes are beautiful. I love your Lady Deathstrike.
Oh, thank you so much. I love posing in that costume because I feel really badass, and I I can fight almost anybody around just for pictures.
Yeah, and actually, Amanda and I were talking about this before we started the interview with you. Is the weapon policies changed a lot ever since that incident? I think it was last year, whenever that happened. Not only at Comic-Con, but a lot of conventions. So tell anybody that wants to go with in a costume that includes a weapon what they should look out for.
Well, you certainly need to be aware of bringing, real weapons, life steal, such things to a convention, especially one like Comic-Con, because security will be very tight here. And they do have a weapons check station that is going to be on the map. And the first thing you should do is to go to the weapon check, have them basically clear your weapon and tag it so people know that you have been approved. Generally speaking, you should certainly try to use basically mimicking metal through wood or plastic, things like that. And as far as guns, if you're going to have an airsoft gun, just be aware that people might you definitely need to get it checked.
Yeah, so all of that stuff is stuff that you may not even think about. You just want to go there and have fun, but there will be checkpoints, as I mentioned, and so be careful of that. So again, you are obviously going to be at Comic-Con. Sounds like you're going to be very, very busy, but do have fun, enjoy yourself. And where can we see you next after Comic-Con?
Well, right after Comic-Con, I am going home to prepare for Otakon, which is the East Coast largest convention of Japanimation. And I will have a booth there, and I'll also be cosplaying all weekend long. After that, I have a little bit of a break where I'm just going to go home and make costumes because towards the end of August, I'm actually going to the Philippines and Singapore for a convention, as well as a photo shoot with Jay Tablante, who is a very renowned photographer in Manila. We'll be shooting several geek culture themed costumes that I can't reveal yet. So that should be really exciting. And then we have Dragon Con. I'm basically coming home from Singapore. I'm home for 2 days, and then I have Dragon Con, which is my favorite convention of the year in Atlanta.
Yeah, so just a little bit busy. So if you want to find out everything about Yaya Han and see her fantastic costumes, yayahan.com. It's up on our link section. You can go on there. You can follow her on Facebook, on Twitter. I'm assuming you're going to be tweeting when you can from Comic-Con this weekend?
Of course. absolutely. Live coverage from Comic-Con, certainly.
Yeah, besides what we're doing here, you can get it on there from Yaya Han. So, Yaya, thanks a lot. You're welcome back anytime. And like I said, have fun at Comic-Con.
Thank you so much. And, yeah, see you guys soon.
Okay, thanks, Yaya.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so that's model, costume designer, and cosplayer herself, Yaya Han. You can go to yayahan.com, like I said. Thanks for coming on again. She will be at Comic-Con. Check the link section. Everything is on there for you now. A lot of guests. Feels like we've been through Comic-Con already. It hasn't even started yet. Where's Arielle?
She's probably busy prepping for a Comic-Con. Should I go over and see if I can get a hold of her right now?
Yeah, Arielle, Louise, they're down at in San Diego on the floor, down the exhibit floor, and she's not answering her bat phone. So here, take these. Book of matches here. See if you can send some smoke signals out there. So let me take a quick break. One, because I need it. I'm just tired of talking. But let me take a quick break. See if we can get her, and if we find her, we'll come on back, talk to Arielle, and get on out of here. Don't go anywhere.
The Geek Speak Show will be back in a moment.
We interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Now you can watch us Speaking Geek, the Geek Speak video show. Exclusively on youtube.com/geekspeakvideos.
Hi, I'm Chris Hardwick. You are watching and/or listening to Geek Speak Show. They're listening. You're consuming. You're watching it with your ears. Oh, you just listen.
And we are back on the Geek Speak Show. Hey, it's Henry. And thanks, Chris, by the way. Good friend of the show. Got my fill of Chris this weekend watching the AMC Walking Dead Season 3 preview, I guess it was. If I wasn't excited before, really am excited for October. Not only because it's my Christmas, Halloween, but because Walking Dead Season 3 is coming pretty soon. Now, I mentioned that also because not only did I marathon The Walking Dead, I also marathoned Shelf Life, which is a web series that I'll describe as not Toy Story, more for Toy Story's audience's parents, if that makes sense. But here to make sense of it are the creators, the actors. They themselves are actors, voice actors, authors also. That would be Tara Platt, Yuri Lowenthal. Hey, guys, welcome to the Geek Speak Show.
Good morning, Henry. How are you?
Hey, thanks so much for having us on.
Thanks for coming on. Now, this being the big Comic-Con show, of course, that means you're going to be at Comic-Con, so we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But for those of you who haven't jumped on yet, and what are you waiting for? Tell us a little bit about Shelf Life.
Okay, yeah, just like you said, actually, you described it pretty well. It's Toy Story for adults. It's about 4 action figures on a young boy's shelf. The 4 action figures are played by live action people in costumes that we shoot on a giant shelf. It's Toy Story for the naughtier set.
It's very irreverent. We poke fun at pretty much everything and everyone, and no topic is taboo. So sex, politics, religion, anything we can think of.
Drugs, rock and roll, whatever those action figures get up to.
Yeah, Pixar kind of does a little adult, not too much, but you guys take it all the way, right?
Yep.
Right. And they do a good job with their thing, and as with any the highest compliment is inspiring something else. So they certainly inspired us to do this.
Yeah, and which one of you was inspired, or whose idea was it to begin with?
It was actually mine, and Yuri is always a little shy to admit that. No, I mean, he tells people that it was my idea, but it's sort of like he's the resident geek in the household, and he has all the action figures lined up on the shelves in his office, and so he's a little like, how is it possible that my wife came up with this idea?
Yeah, I would have thought that it would be me, but it's true, it was her.
Terry, you're not considered a geek or nerd, I'm assuming?
Well, I am just, by simply having it rub off on me. And I certainly grew up reading comic books, but I think that some people just naturally are more in that culture. And I would definitely say Yuri is definitely more in that culture. And for me, I mean, I've been around it so much. And, I've been to Comic-Con the last 8 years, and it's not like I'm not in that culture, but I do think that in our household he definitely wears his geek colors and flies his geek flag.
Right,
as we do here on the show. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's why we're happy to be with you.
Yeah. What exactly made you, Tara? What made you create this? Was it looking at the action, not toys, the action figures on Yuri's wall?
Exactly. It kind of was that. We were actually in pre-production on a different web series that I had created, and we were working down at our production studio one afternoon, And I was looking at our giant green screen because we have a big green screen set up. And I was like, oh my gosh, it would just be so much easier if we could do a show in front of a green screen. Oh my gosh, it has to be 4 action figures and they're just, they're jerking off all day because the kid puts them in these terrible positions and what happens? And Yuri turned to me and he was like, we have to make that. We have to make that right now. And so everything else sort of got pushed to the side. We'll still do the other web series, but it's gone on to sort of the back burner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Shelf Life is in season 3 right now. And those of you who haven't jumped on yet, go to our links page. I have a link right on there to their website, their Twitter, Facebook. They're everywhere, but especially to the YouTube channel. You can catch all the bleeped and the unbleeped, I'll put it that way, episodes on there. And they're all like 2.5 minutes. So you can watch it in one day, really, which is what I did.
Yeah.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And so let's talk about, obviously, you two are the creators and also 2 of the actors. Talk about the other actors in Shelf Life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's us 2. Our friend Travis Willingham, who is also known for both voice acting and on-camera acting, but definitely he's big on the in the video games and animation voice acting. Terrific guy. When we were writing the part, we said it has to be Travis. I hope he says yes. Because, and it's unfair because nobody should be allowed to be both handsome and really funny. and he has both, and I'm angry at him. But he's the perfect, and he has no fear of making an ass of himself. Which on a show like this or on any comedy, you kind of have to have that quality. He's got it all in spades. I mean, he looks like Superman, but he's not afraid to to goof off. And then our other regular guy is who plays Samurai Snake. He's sort of the Chewbacca of our show in that he doesn't speak a known language that the viewers will be able to understand.
Yes, he does. He speaks Snake.
Okay.
Everyone speaks Snake.
Okay, good point. Hero Man doesn't speak Snake, and that's the important part.
Well, if you're in Slytherin, you speak Snake.
Oh, well, that's true, too.
Parcel tongue, right?
Parcel tongue.
Right, it's all parcel tongue all the time.
I'm sure Harry Potter would have no problem watching our show.
Right. But Snake is played by a good friend of mine from New York who had just moved out here, named Brian Ank. And he and I worked in a bunch of theater and independent films when we were in New York together. And while he's usually a director and a writer, I knew that he's also a really talented physical actor. Like he's the Doug Jones of New York. And so when he got out here, I said, it'd be great to have him. And because he had just come to town, he was like, yes, absolutely, let's play. And but the voice is done by D. Bradley Baker, who you will know from everything. He's on Clone Wars. He's on American Dad. He's on Avatar, The Last Airbender. He's
known for his creature voices.
Yeah, we met working on Ben 10 together, and he is known for making, creating amazing creature voices and sounds, as well as being a great actor in his own right. And I said, we gotta have Dee do the snake voice.
And what Yuri hasn't told you or hasn't mentioned, besides the sort of 4 main characters, which are the 4 of us, because we're starting to get some really amazing guest stars.
Mm-hmm.
The major guest star for this season is actually Phil Morris from Smallville or Seinfeld or whatever you may know him from.
Yeah.
He comes on for a 2-part episode arc at the end of the season. And we also have an episode with Aaron Douglas from Battlestar, which is really exciting to be attracting, high caliber talent like that to come play with us on the show.
Yeah, it's definitely fun having those guys on.
Yeah, and Aaron Douglas, you can actually he can be described as one of those guys, like he's in a lot of things, and you may not know the face, but as soon as you see him, like, hey, that guy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah. How did you guys hook up with both of them?
We've worked with both of them. Aaron, we first met. We both did a con together in Australia, and we became friends and have been friends ever since. And with Phil, when I was working on Legion of Superheroes, he was like the big bad on that show, the season that we worked on together. And since then, we became friends as well. And I've actually they know each other now because we're all friends. That's one of the things I love the most about doing this kind of work out here and being out here is I did grow up, a huge nerd for, sci-fi and comic books and animation. now I get to, when there are the opportunities when I get to work with those people, it's just a huge, geek fest. Just when they walk in the room, or when I sign in and I see, like Clancy Brown's name or something like that on the sign-in sheet, I get all like my knees get all jiggly like a girl.
You turn into a fangirl.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I can't even really honestly say that I'm a fanboy because my reactions are more fangirly.
Luckily, though, he saves all his squeeing until he gets home.
That's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going to be going on this week, because it is the big week for what we call the Super Bowl of nerds, geeks, San Diego Comic-Con. And we're talking to Tara Platt, Yuri Lowenthal. They're the creators, actors. They are actors themselves, voice actors, authors also. They wrote a book called Voice Actor, What It's Like Behind the Mic. You can find all of that stuff on our link section. Now, you guys, obviously, being on the Comic-Con show, like I said, means you're going to be at Comic-Con. You're going to be on a panel called Moving to the Web, Be Your Own Producer. Talk about that.
Sure. We're really excited to be having this panel this year. In previous years, we've been on panels, but just because we were actors on other people's shows, which is fantastic. But we're very excited to talk about the creation process and actually getting your voice and your ideas heard, and having there be an outlet for that, and the idea behind the empowerment that comes from creating your own content, and how easy it can be to do that. We all have access to the web. It's this wonderful and very easy to access tool that most of us use frequently throughout the day, if not constantly. And so we are going to talk, and it'll be Yuri and I on the panel, along with the director of our show from the past 2 seasons, for season 2 and season 3, Stephen Calcote, and a producer that we know that's been working on the show with us, Stephanie Thorpe, who also made a guest appearance as Knockoff Hero Lass, and Phil Morris is coming on. And we're all going to talk about, because we've all had experience in various shows, not only Shelf Life, but in working on the web, as well as working on more mainstream venues. And so we're all going to speak to that, and speak to the wonderful power that working on the web gives you, and the freedom and flexibility. Like you'd notice with Shelf Life, we are able to curse as much as we are, and to really go, to the end of the joke, because we can do what we want, because we're not having to censor ourselves for television audiences, or we don't have to make a certain rating. And so I'm not saying that it's like an X-rated show, but it's just like we can take the joke where we want to take the joke and not worry about it.
Right.
So
yeah.
Just a few minutes ago, actually, we spoke to Marc Zicree, who was a producer on Next Generation, and a lot of big productions. And him, along with Ian Craig from Star Wars, and Doug Drexler, who did some effects for Battlestar and a lot of other things, they're getting together and doing Space Command, which is going to be a web series on the web. And you guys have seen probably the Mortal Kombat web series. So there's a lot of stuff coming to the web. Do you think that a lot of, I'll call them mainstream, established actors, directors, producers are going to start doing a lot more of that when they see stuff like Shelf Life and Marc Zicree stuff and all that?
Absolutely. And I think also it shows that where the viewers are going. When J.J. Abrams spends $2 million on a web series, it means that clearly that he believes that there are people who are just watching stuff on the web now, not only on the web, but that there's a significant audience who tune in via their computers. So I do think that's going to happen more and more. And for those actors who have achieved a certain amount of respect or fame or whatever in the industry, just because they've made it doesn't mean that they're necessarily telling the stories that they would really love to be telling. Because as an actor, you don't always have the control over that. They choose, you audition for a million different things, and you finally get something, and maybe it's not the story that you would want to tell, that you're really invested in, but you want that job. Right. And so you do the job. But what if you could choose the kind of stories you're going to do? What if you could really do that and tell the stories you want to tell? And that's what made us form our production company in the first place. Is we were working, but were we really telling the kinds of stories or playing the kinds of roles that we have sort of in our hearts, that we want to play? And I think a lot of people are, a lot of actors are doing that, and comic book writers, people who are known in one thing, but have always wanted to put their own show together, are moving to the web for sure.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing myself here with this show here. I've done radio since, like I tell people, since before my voice even changed. I was 11 years old when I started doing it. I've been doing it ever since. I never had a quote-unquote real job. But I recently started making this move to the web, not only because everything is going there, like you said, but also the availability of the web on phones, on tablets, and everybody's been, they don't listen to radio stations anymore. They listen to Pandora or their iPods. And the one scary thing I will say, see if you guys agree with this, is, like Yuri just said, when you have a job, you can have what we call our bitch sessions. Although our boss doesn't know what he's doing, all that. But now, if you don't like something, well, look in the mirror, because only you can change it.
Yeah.
Right. It does put a lot of responsibility on people. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because technology has not only just sort of the infrastructure, and having the web as available as it is, but having the equipment to produce a TV show, cameras and things like that have gotten so manageable financially for people that even if you don't have one yourself, somebody who's got one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of your friends has one, and all you have to do is get together and start making that stuff. And you're right; it takes a certain amount of courage to put that, because when you put it up on the internet, it's
the world can see it.
Exactly. You can't hide.
And there's still a lot of people that, are going to tear you down just because they feel like they can because of the anonymity of the internet, or because they're jealous that you're doing something that they wish they were doing, or for any number of reasons. And so you have to sort of know that, recognize it, and move past it and go, you know what, this isn't for them, this is for me. And like you said, looking in the mirror and knowing that when you get up in the morning, you can look yourself in the eye and know you're making something for yourself. You're making change. You're being the action that you want to create in the world. So
yeah, and you can have fun and be proud of what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we're so fortunate to be able to tell people that we love what we do, so we don't work a day in our lives, Not that we're not working, because believe me, we work really hard, but the work is so fun that we're not working, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I always tell people, when I used to work in radio stations, they used to tell me, are you going up after work? I don't work. I do radio.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. Man, if only we could have some fun on Shelf Life.
I know.
That show's a drag.
So hard to do.
Yeah. Well, Brian, actually, I would say, is the hardest worker there, only because he has to wear that big costume.
He really is.
He does. I wish you could see sort of behind the scenes how often we have to give him a break, because it's kind of hard to breathe, and it's kind of hot underneath that
and
mask.
You can't see.
Yeah, you can't see very well. Here's a little secret. I can't really see through those glasses either. It gives me like bee vision. Like all this, it's all prismed out, and so I have to be careful that I don't in what I'm doing, that I don't step off the shelf.
When Yuri walks, he has to be looking down and not forward. It's kind of sad.
I have to look under the bottom of the glasses to sort of see where my feet are.
I feel guilty that my costume is the easiest of the four of us.
True.
I'm like, sorry guys, I've got a dress on and I can totally see.
Yeah. Poor Travis is always pulling off because he's got that sort of hairpiece attachment to the top of his thing. It's made of plastic, and so everybody's sort of in between takes. We like tear down our costumes and breathe.
I'm the only one that does it.
Do you film the episode all in one take, or do you do it over a month, or how long does it take you to?
Well, yeah, what we do is we have 10 episodes in a season. So for season 1 is 10, season 2 is 10, season 3 is actually 11 because we have the bonus Aaron Douglas episode. Mm-hmm. But we, over the course of a weekend, now sometimes that's 3 days because we'll do a Friday shoot as well, but over the course of a weekend, and every once in a while we'll do an additional pickup episode shoot. Mm-hmm. Just like if you notice, there's some episodes where we've gone off the shelf a little. Samurai Snake had his Barbie chase car scene, or we did the cat thing. Those are sort of pickups outside of that because we're not shooting that at the shelf. Mm-hmm. But over the course of a weekend, we shoot the entire session, an entire season.
Yeah.
So we get through 10 episodes in a season. Now, sometimes we do one-take shots of the whole episode, but I hope you've noticed from season 1 through season 3, the camera work's gotten a lot more advanced. We're doing more interesting things visually, and so we're now not relying on doing the one-take sort of shoots, if that makes sense. We're sort of doing more fancy camera work, multiple camera, things like that.
Yeah, different angles. And then of course we've got the post production process.
Yeah.
Well, while we shoot it all in a relatively short amount of time, we spent a lot of time getting it ready and prepping the script and setting up and rehearsing, and then afterwards, and you might have also been able to tell if you did marathon it, which I'm kind of jealous. I kind of want to go back now and marathon it just to watch the evolution of the show, because it really has. There's first season, which was amazing, and then we've got in the second season. Clearly we've sort of found our feet a little bit, and we're like, oh, we could do this, could do that, and then third season is even above that, and I just want to see it keep going. But a lot of the changes recently have been because in post production. Our director Steven and our editor Matthew and our composer Bear and everybody, they're having so much fun, and they're wanting to grow the show, and so they take more time. So that's the part that really takes the time, all the editing and the composing and sound mixing. Our mixer Lisa is just a blessing. I mean, she's so great.
But our director, Steven, was even saying that he would average probably 4 days of work per episode when you count, the amount of time that we shoot it and then all the pre- and post-production that involved just that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, having a trained eye, I can see the progression between it. But one constant is it's great. It's fun. It's funny. All of you guys do a great job. One thing is, and I think I've seen some comments in some of the talk back there. I love the theme song, but I especially love the fact that you have the whole theme song now in season 3.
Well, it's I mean, you get the lyrics, but I'll tell you that the whole theme song is I think about a minute 30, minute 40, and there's
even more fun lyrics than that.
Yeah, but there will be access to that song coming up soon.
Yeah.
So again, the panel is going to be on Friday the 13th at 7:30 p.m. in room 226AB. I think
That's right.
I've written down here. Yeah. And also, before I let you guys go, tell them what's happening on July 18th.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, after you come to our panel and you get our free comic book, because we're giving out comic books to everyone who comes to our panel.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the Shelf Life comic book came out so well.
But after that, on the 18th, we are hosting a live web party, a webcast with the whole cast and crew of Shelf Life. And in that party, we're doing giveaways and prizes and fun things. And we've got some very special announcements. And one of those is that we're launching our Indiegogo campaign. And that's going to help us raise the funds for season 4. Because so far, we've just done it all out of pocket. And because we really want to get the show even bigger and better than it is right now, like we're saying, we want to up the stakes a little bit higher every season and just get it more impressive. We're going to do an Indiegogo campaign for 30 days. So
yeah. And each it's gonna be exciting. So that night we're gonna have a lot of fun. And there's everybody from the cast is gonna be there. Some of the crew as well, some special guests, and we're excited to do that, and then to launch the Indiegogo campaign because, like Tara said, we want the show to be even huger and
bigger, better now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I predict it's going to be a huge response to the Indiegogo campaign because a lot of people love Shelf Life, myself included. I just discovered it not too long ago. Like I said, I marathoned it, love every episode, and I can't wait for more.
Thank you
Henry,
so
thank
much.
You so much because that's what keeps us going. Because we don't have a big corporate sponsorship, or we're not on Adult Swim or anything like that. It's people like you saying things like that. So
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and hey, like I said, I have a show. You're welcome to come back anytime, talk about Shelf Life or any announcements. You're welcome to come back on and break them here.
Oh, great. Well, we would love to.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been a good time.
Yeah, so those of you that are going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, 7:30, if you can make your way through the crowd to room 26AB, they will be there talking about moving to the web, be your own producer, Shelf Life, and our link section. If you haven't seen it yet, you can watch it all today, really. The episodes are pretty short and really fun. You can't. I bet you, like those chips, you can't watch just one.
Yes.
So, Tara, Yuri, thanks a lot. Like I said, you're welcome back anytime. Enjoy Comic-Con, and we will talk to you later.
Thanks so much. Take care. Have a great one.
The Geek Speak Show will be back in a moment.
We interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Now you can watch us Speaking Geek, the Geek Speak video show. Exclusively on youtube.com/geekspeakvideos.
I'm Zach, and you're listening to the Geek Speak Show.
Hold on a second. Once more, with flavor. Yeah.
Oh, I'm Zach Whedon, and you're listening to the Geek Speak Show.
It's compelling! What's gonna happen to the these kids.
Follow the Bonstein Ball. If we had one. So we're back on the Geek Speak Show, having a lot of fun with the big old Comic-Con show. And did you get a hold of her?
Yes, I have her on the line. I finally pulled her away from her busy schedule. Arielle's with us now.
Smoke signals?
I have Morse code with my flashlight.
You did have a pack of
There was a
matches with
giant
you.
bat signal on the wall. I knew it was time for me to come in.
No, that's next week's show. So here, we missed her, so here she is, and she's not going to hit the microphone this time. Here's Arielle. Hi, Arielle.
And you know why I can't hit the microphone? Because it's nowhere near me. I am in the convention center right this very moment at San Diego Comic-Con.
And what do you see around you? Don't say people.
No, you know what I see like right in front of me? It's sort
Dead
of
people?
in every way. No, I see a giant, I think this is like a 20-foot tall red Power Ranger right in front of me.
Yes.
There's like this giant Power Ranger statue like just standing there. It's going to be the most inappropriate thing at this entire convention because it's exactly the wrong height. Like exactly the wrong height.
Yeah, so you and Louise are going to be at San Diego Comic-Con this year. We're not. We're here. First of all, tell everybody why you're going to be there.
Well, I am here because one of my jobs as the president of the California Browncoats, so my board members and I are all here, and we have our amazing table set up, raising money for the Trevor Project, and also selling all sorts of amazing, shiny goodness. Everything the verse has to offer you can find right here at the California Browncoats table. How's that for a commercial?
Tell them about the coin, was it, that you and Rachel were talking about last time?
So we have had made, only available through us, a challenge coin. So this comes from a military sort of Marines tradition of wanting to buy your buddies around. So you go to the bar and you throw down this coin, and everybody has to produce their own coins. And if somebody doesn't have theirs, they have to buy the round. But if everybody has theirs, then the person who made the challenge has to buy a round. Anyway, it looks amazing. It's really pretty. It's all like hefty and heavy, and it's all in homage to like the brown coats, and it's like a brown coat. It's like if you were in the military campaign, this would be your challenge coin.
But more importantly, how do we get one?
You come to the California Browncoats table at A7 and A8 at San Diego Comic-Con, all the way down at the end of row 300. You can only get it from us this weekend on site. We've got them, and if we sell out, then we're going to be sold out, and you will be sad to have missed it.
Will you have Kleenexes or something to wipe away their tears?
You know, we actually often keep moist towelettes near at the table because they come in handy for whenever people just happen to have
breakdown
more
in
emotional
tears.
Yeah, you know, we'll have like maybe somebody stops by unexpectedly without telling us, and then they're just like everybody's all flailing, and yeah, we're covered for any number of events, including your sad tears because you missed out on one of our exclusive items.
Yeah, so tonight is, as we record this, it's Wednesday day, but Wednesday night tonight will be preview night. Have you had a chance setting up? Have you chance to give yourself your own Arielle preview night, walking the floor?
I did. We were all set up, and so I took a little gander. I walked the entire length of the exhibit hall, and I took some notes about what I saw and what I think people are going to be really excited to see when, for those who are lucky enough to be down here.
No
Would
pictures?
you like to hear about it?
No pictures?
Yes.
What? Pictures?
You have a nice
Wait,
shiny
those will
phone
come.
and you didn't take pictures?
Well, I was already cheating, just, you know, being all sneaky. I didn't want them to catch me. You're going to get me in trouble.
You're a girl. Put them in your purse. They won't know.
Oh, yeah, because that doesn't work because there's girl security guards. What am I going to do then, huh?
Say, hey, why are you going through my purse?
There's no alternate universe in my purse. I'm going to go ahead and point that out.
No alternate in there. So what did you see?
Okay, so I was really super excited to see that Weta and the WB are completely hobbited out. So we've got amazing 3D hologram posters for The Hobbit is all over the WB, and they've got like that nice sort of like Hobbit town feel decor with like designs and things, but that is not nearly as good as what Weta has, which is some just amazing sets and props and things like that that are just like on display, and you can get up really super close if you can work your way through the crowds, and just see that amazing detail that Weta is known for. It's gorgeous over there.
Is that what you're talking about? That huge banner, Hobbit banner that's supposed to be up there?
I haven't seen a huge Hobbit banner. I've seen like freaking set thing built with columns and stuff. This is no just like banner work, yo.
Yeah, because there's supposed to be a huge banner there that has Gandalf and I think Gollum is somewhere in there. But so if you can find that one, take a picture of that. I want to see that.
You know what? I will look for that, but you know what I did already see is over by the, it must have been some sort of Lucas booth, because they were showing on a ginormous monitor clips and behind-the-scenes footage from Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it was like you're walking by, and then you're like, oh, look, there's Harrison Ford, a young Harrison Ford, up on the screen with a whip. What?
No, you know what that is? That's actually the trailer for the Blu-ray collection that's coming.
Oh, well, that's amazing, because it looks really good, and I couldn't believe how good they made that look up on a ginormous screen. Oh, that's fantastic. They want my paycheck.
Then, but you said that was a Lucas thing?
Well, I don't know. I thought it was maybe because it was. I could have just been wrong.
Well, which means that by Saturday they'll have a completely different one, and Indy wouldn't have whipped first. But that's a whole other thing. So, what else did you see there?
That's a whole other thing. All right, The Walking Dead are also out. They have recreated a scene from the series, the second season of the show. They've got like a forest set going on, and there's like walkers that they're there, and if it's anything like previous years, you'll be able to take a picture in the set.
Oh, sweet.
Of yourself. Yeah, no, and it looks so good.
How cool would it be if when you're posing, they touch you?
The walkers?
Yeah.
I you know what? I bet that they're going to let that be just ever so slightly and ever so appropriately interactive. I really hope so, at least, because it's much better being attacked by zombies than just standing next to one smiling. Why would you do that? That doesn't make sense.
Hit him with a bat.
It's a walker right there. You should shoot it in the head with a shotgun. That's what you do when a zombie comes. That's right.
When, not if.
When. I said when.
Yeah, well, what else have you been able to see?
I am prepared for all eventualities.
What else have you been able to see?
So the Lego booth, I always check out the Lego booth because I'm always super impressed with what the Lego booth does. This year they have like a mural relief with some Batman and some Joker characters, that's actually pretty sweet, and I've not seen them do that before. Even better though is they've got, and I know Henry's gonna like this, they've got the Darth Maul set all like there with his schmancy pose, and that's all built completely out of Legos.
You know, my birthday is in January. Hint, hint.
But they also have even better, the Gandalf and the Bilbo, and Gandalf's staff actually lights up. Like it glows. Oh my goodness. And there's Play-Doh. Like they have like crystal Legos in there or something. I don't know, but there's a light. It's so cool.
You know what you or Louise should do when people actually go in there? Hide behind that Gandalf thing, and then when it lights up, say, "You shall not pass."
We could do it when we're there for the exhibitors. At the end of the day, when we're all closing down, we're like, quick, hurry, over to the Lego booth before they kick us out.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I would so do that.
I know you're going to be busy, but if you have any time to yourself to actually go walk around, is there anything that you're, whether a panel or an exhibit or anything that you are really looking forward to?
Well, okay, if I could get into it, if I thought that I wouldn't have to sleep out on concrete overnight to get into it, I would be all over the Firefly 10th anniversary panel. That thing is ginormous.
Wait. Are you telling me that the president of the California Browncoats isn't going to be in that panel? You should be getting special treatment.
I am going to let all of my volunteers go to the panel, and I'm going to stay working the table, providing brown coaty goodness to all of you.
That's dedication.
It is responsibility with great power.
That's what I do for you, because I love my brown coats.
That should be your, what do they call that? Your stumping ground, or whatever you call that, when Obama and all them want to get reelected. You do things like that.
My stump speech?
Yeah, that. Whatever they call it. You know how I love politics.
My campaign statement, I love me my brown coat.
Yeah, so you would, obviously, I mean, that was kind of a dumb question, but anything besides the Firefly panel?
Well, you know what? I'm actually, this may shock our listeners, but I'm a huge podcast listener myself, and one of my favorite other podcasts is going to be here, and that's the Stuff You Should Know podcast. And they're going to have a panel where they're going to do a live recording of their show. So it'll be in front of the audience, like a live recording, and I'm super excited for that one. That one's going to be amazing. And I personally kind of love Josh and Chuck more than a little. So I'm really excited
you
to see
should
them
go
live.
up and say, hey, I kind of, do a podcast on my own. Can I sit in?
I'd be all like, hey, you guys, can I just sit in on your podcast that you like meticulously research and plan ahead, unlike some of us?
Yeah.
I'm great off the cuff.
Yeah, so that is a little bit of what's going on at Comic-Con. You're going to be there, obviously, all 4 days, including tonight. Get a lot of pictures. Maybe you get some interviews with some of the people there.
Absolutely. Oh, and Louise will, in fact, hurt me a lot if I don't mention this. Another thing to check out on the floor are the setup of the Mach 1 suits for Iron Man 3. They are spick-frickin-tacular. So she was going to kill me if I didn't mention that.
Yeah, like I said, see if you can get in those and take a picture of her with them.
Oh, man, if I could get in a suit, I would never leave.
But do it on the last day. That way, if they kick you out, you don't miss anything.
No, that's okay, because I'll be in a Mach 1. I'll just fly home.
Yeah, so there you go. So again, that's
They're real.
That's Arielle. Her and Louise are at Comic-Con 2012. San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah, where else would it be? So are you coming back, or are you going to plan on staying down there?
I'm coming back. I would miss you guys too much.
Okay, good.
They don't let me hit people around here
Yeah,
like you
so
guys do.
you guys are obviously super excited for Comic-Con. You guys, Rachel and everybody was excited for the Amazing Spider-Man. I really wasn't that excited for it. Now, next week when we come back, Sierra, you get to be here for the goodbye for this week's show. But next week we're gonna have a big show, kind of like almost as big as this Comic-Con one, because you guys were waiting for the Avengers. I was waiting for this movie when the clock struck midnight. Guess what movie that is?
Possibly could be. Oh, I wouldn't know. Is it Batman?
No, it's The Dark Knight Rises. So we're gonna have a big show next week. All Batman, all Dark Knight. We're gonna talk to Michael Uslan, who's the executive producer, and the reason, seriously, the reason why we've had the Tim Burton ones all the way to The Dark Knight Rises next week. So we're gonna talk to him. We won't do spoilers. You know how I hate spoilers on the show. We won't do that, but we will talk about The Dark Knight Rises and maybe what we can expect in the future, Christopher Nolan or not. They're gonna keep going. So we'll talk about that and a few more Batman surprises. So be here for that. Arielle, you remember the what we say when we leave?
I'm ready. What are we doing?
That's Arielle. So come on back next week. We'll speak more geek.
The Geek Speak Show will be back next week with a brand new episode. In the meantime, follow them on Twitter at Geek Speak Show 1. That's the number 1. Become a fan on Facebook. Subscribe on iTunes. Watch special event coverage and the Geek Speak video show on YouTube/Geek Speak Videos. And listen to past shows in the archive section on thegeekspeakshow.com. A big thank you to the Geek Speak Show's content providers, GeekTyrant.com, Collider.com, RamaScreen.com, and MightyVille.com. The Geek Speak Show.